Atlanta News First starts now with breaking news.
Breaking tonight, Georgia reacting to former President Donald Trump found guilty on all counts. Tonight, he is defiant, and there are questions as to whether he ends up in jail or in the White House. The case centered on claims of sex and financial cover-ups, all of it unfolding in the middle of his bid to return to the White House. This is the news at 7. I'm Tracy Hutchins. Well, former President Donald Trump already speaking out about his guilty verdict.
And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win. Because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble.
Atlanta News First providing team coverage tonight on this historic verdict, both locally and in New York City as well. Let's go first to CNN's Julia Benbrook. She is live in Manhattan.
Now, this is a day that will no doubt end up in history books. Donald Trump was already the first former president to face criminal charges. He is now the first former president to be convicted of a felony. 12 Manhattan residents on that jury, after looking at the evidence, found him guilty of all 34 counts of falsifying business records, stemming from a hush money payment made back in 2016 to an adult film star to cover up an alleged affair. Trump denies that affair. Now, the timing of this verdict did catch some by surprise. We started out the day with the judge answering several questions that the jury had sent in on notes. That took up a good portion of the morning, and then they're back into deliberations. He was getting ready to let them go. I was calling everyone in about 4:15, expected to let them go about 4:30. Instead, they came in with a verdict. Trump spoke to the cameras, leaving the courthouse after that verdict came down. Here's a little bit about what he had to say.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
Now, he, of course, is currently seeking another 4 years in the White House. He is the presumptive GOP nominee, and sentencing for this trial is scheduled for July 11th. That date is significant because it is just a few days before the Republican National Convention. Trump does have a press conference scheduled tomorrow for 11 a.m. outside of Trump Tower. Reporting live in Manhattan, I'm Julia Benbrook.
And back here at home in Georgia, Atlanta News First, Carly Barnett continues our team coverage. Carly, today's verdict, it is a massive gut punch to Georgia's Republicans, and they are loyal to the former president.
Tracy, based on what we've seen, it really has not deterred our Republican leaders here in Georgia, many of them issuing statements that essentially dismissed this verdict as a political stunt. Governor Brian Kemp took to the social media platform X to share his thoughts. He said, quote, "From the beginning, this prosecution and trial have been driven by partisan politics. Despite today's events, the ultimate verdict is up to the American people on November 5th, when they will have a clear choice on the future of our country." And Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a strong supporter of the former president, said, quote, "Radical leftists and deep state operatives have been orchestrating this sham trial from the beginning. What do they do now that President Trump is leading in the polls and their stunt is failing? You don't see this level of corruption in the Banana Republic, but it's happening in our own backyard." She then goes on to post a link to the former president's current campaign fundraising page.
And Carly, we are also hearing tonight from Donald Trump's political opponents, the Biden-Harris campaign. They also spoke about this landmark verdict.
Tracy, the president issued a very strong statement that we just received to the Atlanta News First newsroom a short time ago. He said, quote, "In New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain. But today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There is still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office: at the ballot box." Now, of course, we are outside of the Fulton County Courthouse, where former President Donald Trump will have his own trial here. At this point, no date has been set for that. It's also unclear how today's decision could impact what we will see in our own state. Live in downtown Atlanta, Carly Barnett, Atlanta News First.
Atlanta News First tracking more reaction as it comes in tonight. Some hoping to use today's verdict to fuel election turnout. Atlanta News First, Savannah Louie heard from Georgia's top Republican, and you spoke with him in the last hour.
Yeah, Tracy, and a historic verdict today, setting up really what is going to be a historic election in November. Top Georgia Republicans now saying your vote matters more than ever. They allege today's verdict all part of a political strategy here. Chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, Josh McCoon, speaking out against today's ruling. He says this is part of a Democrat plan to beat Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election. He was not surprised by the verdict, alleging an abuse of power and that the courts were unfair to the former president.
I think it ensures that Donald Trump is going to win by a large margin. This is the most important election we've ever had in this country because our very future is on the line.
And Chairman McCoon went on to say and speculate that that guilty verdict today would not impact Trump in his trial right here in Fulton County. Tracy?
Savannah, thank you. Atlanta News First will have coverage of Trump's sentencing and any appeals that may come in this case. You can have notifications sent straight to your phone by downloading our free app. Yeah, you head outside, and there's certainly a lot to look forward to on this Thursday evening. First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete has a look at our forecast. Rain way off in the distance for us, Patrick.
Yeah, we still have a couple of dry days in the forecast ahead. Really gorgeous out there. No rain to speak of in our area on First Alert satellite and radar, but there are some spotty showers out in Montgomery. That's that little cluster that we knew would miss most of our viewers, and looks like no one really picked up on any measurable rain, which is good news. 80 degrees right now in Athens, 81 here in Atlanta. A little bit warmer. You go down to Thomaston, but you go north, temperatures in the lower 70s in Blue Ridge and Blairsville. So nice array of numbers out there. All of them are comfortable because dew points are low. That means humidity is low. It's a beautiful evening out there. Temperatures will slide into the lower 70s around 9, 10 o'clock and then dip into the 60s through the overnight. Another borderline cool start to the day tomorrow. I think everybody's going to like the numbers they see. 55 Cartersville, Canton, 58 Kennesaw, Roswell, closer to 62 here in Atlanta, but the upper 50s south of town down in Noonan. So a gorgeous start to the day tomorrow. A good mix of sun and clouds tomorrow with highs climbing into the mid 80s, keeping that dry streak going. But there's some rain just around the corner. I'll tell you when you may want that umbrella coming up in just a few minutes.
We are staying on top of a number of major stories for you tonight. Here's your top 7 at 7.
This is a failure of management to competently execute a transition.
Senator John Ossoff getting to the root of Metro Atlanta's mail delays, touring the Palmetto Postal Facility at the center of the slowdown. An incredible rescue caught on camera. Gwinnett County police officers find a missing 15-year-old girl by using aerial technology.
A part of me is gone that I'll never get back.
Alasia Franklin's grieving mother comforted in her hometown of Cairo. The 21-year-old KSU student remembered weeks after her shooting death. Bond denied for a former Douglas County track coach. Kerry Hood will remain behind bars, facing sexual assault charges. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign claims the Libertarian Party nominee is being unfairly excluded from next month's presidential debate in Atlanta. More than 1 million bed rails were called. Regulators say Medline's bed assist bars pose entrapment hazards and could lead to death by asphyxiation. Atlanta's own Usher set to receive BET's Lifetime Achievement Award. First responders across the country plagued by mental health problems. Tonight, Atlanta leaders proposing a magical method to help treat our everyday heroes. The only source of water for all of DeKalb County needs some serious work. The shocking price tag just to keep the pipes flowing. Atlanta News First, staying on top of the historic breaking news out of New York tonight. In Manhattan, former President Donald Trump found guilty on all 34 counts in his hush money trial. He is the first ever former president to become a convicted felon. He will be sentenced on July 11th. Well, just moments ago, Manhattan's district attorney spoke about the historic conviction.
I did my job. We did our job. Many voices out there. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury. and the jury has spoken.
You can read more about today's verdict or be notified as soon as Trump's sentencing is handed down. Just download our free Atlanta News First app. Tonight, DeKalb County officials say they need $4.4 billion to replace aging water pipes. Officials say those pipes currently running through the county have not been replaced in more than 50 years. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston tells us water upgrades are the city's top priority.
This water treatment plant was built in 1942 and is the only plant for the entire county. So without it, there would be no water for the million residents and workers in DeKalb County.
There are components that exist today that are still remnants of that 1942 plant.
That's why DeKalb County officials say upgrading this water plant is the #1 priority for the watershed department. It's a $250 million project, but modernizing this facility will result in a 60% increase in drinking water storage and create a more reliable water system.
That includes providing 60% more storage capacity of drinking water for the community, and that's huge. When you have a single source of water, you need to have some redundancies and some additional storage on site to provide for the community.
The director for the water project in DeKalb County, Maria Hauser, says plans to replace this plant go back to the 1990s, but were never finished. Now officials want to do that, along with replacing miles of aging pipes that go back 70 years. That's part of a $4.4 billion plan for a growing county.
If you don't get things right at the water treatment plant, nothing else matters.
Upgrading the plant will help decrease water main breaks in the county as well. Hauser says all of that begins with upgrading the water plant.
The pressure for the water system starts at the water treatment plant. So if we get things fixed there at the water treatment plant and we continue on fixing items in the system, we will have less pressures in the systems, which tend to lead to breaks.
DeKalb County is unique in that there's only one plant for the entire county. Hauser says the county surpasses all federal and state drinking water quality standards, and it's important for her to keep that going.
Water source drives civilization. It's a fundamental aspect of us existing.
So the priority is to upgrade this plant and replace all those pipes by 2050. In DeKalb County, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
Right now, an Atlanta City Councilwoman says it is time to try alternative medicine in treating first responders who suffer from PTSD. She's asking the city's Human Resources Department to investigate the use of psychedelic mushrooms in a professional therapy setting for police and firefighters facing a mental health crisis. Atlanta News First reporter Brittany Ford has that story.
Well, Councilwoman Liliani Bakhtiari, who is sponsoring this resolution, says she was at an out-of-state event with first responders who praised the use of 2 drugs that helped them with trauma experienced on the job. Now, there are 2 drugs on the table for consideration. Psilocybin is an active compound found in some mushrooms that causes a psychedelic effect, also known as magic mushrooms. Ketamine is a synthetic pharmaceutical originally developed as an anesthetic. Now, ketamine is legal in Georgia under the supervision of a licensed professional. Psilocybin is not, but is making its strides in the medical setting. I spoke with a former Georgia Tech professor of neuroscience who told me clinical trials have proven both are effective in treating severe PTSD, depression, and anxiety.
There's considerable evidence, especially using or from placebo-controlled randomized clinical trials, that drugs like psilocybin and ketamine are quite effective at treating people with depression and anxiety and PTSD.
Councilwoman Bakhtiari says this resolution directs the Human Resources Department to explore the pros and cons of adding these alternatives as mental health treatments.
We've had a higher case of suicide rates and suicidal ideation. And so if we expect people to be here in our city on the front lines protecting folks, we need to kind of expand what mental health services can look like.
Now, this is still in its early stages. The Human Resources Department will then bring those findings back to council at the end of the year. In Midtown, Brittany Ford, Atlanta News First.
Here it is, your your chance to win a dream home and help children fighting cancer. Our goal is to raise $2 million in our St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. Families right here in Georgia benefit from the life-saving research at St. Jude. Emily Fletcher says her daughter Allison underwent 30 rounds of chemotherapy and just graduated college.
I don't think Allison would be alive without St. Jude. So you can get through anything as long as your child's with you. But if you lose your child, it doesn't matter, does it?
You can support St. Jude and win a dream home valued at $675,000. And there are other prizes as well, including a brand new ultra premium hot tub. It is the Michael Phelps Legend Series, courtesy of Master Spas and Atlanta Spa and Leisure, worth more than $20,000. And update your interiors with a $10,000 furniture shopping spree, courtesy of Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. You can actually win all the prizes. So go ahead right now, get your tickets by getting your phone out right now and texting the words Dream Home to 470-777 WANF, and we will send you a link to enter. You know, after a few days, you start to get used to sunny, dry conditions. That's where we are. Another picture-perfect day across the metro. First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete. Your job was made easy today, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been easy the last couple of days. It has been nice, too.
Yeah.
No one's been
a
mad
nice
about
relief,
the weather.
right?
Yes, unfortunately. Good things don't stick around forever.
Never do.
But there's no First Alert weather days in the forecast, so there is the silver lining there. But we are watching for the chance for some showers and some rumbles to move back into the forecast. Not Friday. And Saturday's looking mainly dry. We may see a stray sprinkle in our westernmost communities, but our better chances for rain will be arrive heading into your Sunday and Monday. And you can see from this plot that this isn't looking too overwhelming. So no wonder there's no First Alert weather day. But we will be a little unsettled, and that rain chance will stick around heading into the middle of next week. Gorgeous view right now from our station here in Midtown. You can see the winds swaying those leaves out there a little bit. Winds less than 10 miles per hour here in the city. 81 degrees right now, feeling pretty comfortable. The humidity has been low the last few days, and that will continue to be the case through the overnight. That means that your ACs will not have to work that hard tonight. Temperatures fall into the lower 60s. This is here at the airport. Everywhere else essentially going to be cooler than that, mid to upper 50s. So enjoy another pleasant start to the day. And expect a few more clouds around compared to what we saw today, but we're going to remain rain-free, so Friday's going to be a win. 64 degrees as you're making your way into the office. We'll climb into the mid-70s around lunchtime and then off to the 80s for the second half of the afternoon. I expect us to top out in the low to mid-80s. I think we'll hit 85 here in Atlanta, and then we'll see more clouds build in through the overnight hours. I do think that tomorrow night's going to be a good night to get out and about. And if you're getting up early, maybe going to farmer's market on Saturday, not a bad start. Near 60 degrees, the clouds are around, and we'll watch for some moisture to build in from portions of central Alabama. I don't think it's going to make its way into the metro, but our westernmost communities could see a stray sprinkle, especially north and west of the city at around 5 o'clock. And then we'll trend drier through the overnight. Temperatures remaining a little bit warm. Those winds are going to gradually start to shift. We'll get that southwesterly flow, and that's going to bring in some slightly warmer air into the region. We're also going to be watching for some rain and thunderstorm opportunities. 30 to 40% chance on Sunday, and then we'll see a little bit of that action on Monday as well. And then we're just going to really be watching by Tuesday, Wednesday for afternoon pop-up activity. Diurnal heating essentially could cause some showers and thunderstorms to fire up. You'll notice that those dew points are increasing. So today was great. Tomorrow is going to be great as well. But as we head through the weekend, Saturday is going to be better than Sunday. Sunday is going to be better than Monday. And those dew points are going to be hanging out above the mid-60s as we head towards the middle of next week. So you're going to notice it a little bit if you've been running outside. May have to run a little bit harder as it is going to be a little bit more humid. Meanwhile, temperatures hanging out in the mid-80s for the next couple of days before we start to see that increase in rain chances, humidity, eventually temperatures topping out in the upper 80s through next Thursday.
Patrick, thank you. A young Georgia family learning you can never start saving money too early. Meet the newborn who got a big surprise on his birthday. That's tonight in your Evening Boost. A Georgia newborn already getting a jump start on his college career. That's your Evening Boost tonight. Take a look. Baby Joseph was born to Sally and Brad Bowden yesterday in Columbus. The new parents had no idea their little bundle of joy was coming into the world on 5/29. That's College Savings Day. The holiday raises awareness for saving for college through 529 plans. Well, Piedmont Columbus Regional Hospital gifted the Bowdens $1,529. That's going to help start little Joseph out on the right foot. Well, we want to hear about the good things happening in your community. Send us your pictures and videos to the number on your screen. You might see them right here on Atlanta News First. Well, that's the news at 7. I'm Tracy Hutchins. We're still working hard for you all night long. Atlanta News First will continue to stay on top of tonight's historic breaking news. Former President Donald Trump found guilty on all 34 felony counts in his New York hush money trial. He is the first president or former president to become a convicted felon. He's set to be sentenced on July 11th. The news never stops on ANF Plus. Stream us anytime, anywhere. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7.